What if one unexpected conversation could change the entire trajectory of your life? Today's guest had that moment with President Jimmy Carter. And what she learned didn't just reshape her purpose, it ignited a mission of hope, service, and authentic living. If you've ever wondered whether your presence truly matters in this world, this episode is a reminder that it does. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. I'm Dan Peters, psychologist and leadership coach. This show is all about bringing hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom through meaningful conversations that inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and have a positive impact on humanity. This is your space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with who you are, what you care about, and who you want to be. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. Today's guest is completely aligned with what we talk about on the show. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Lauren Speeth. Lauren is an award-winning author who has shared her knowledge and wisdom over the years with audiences around the world to critical acclaim. As a teacher, writer, and filmmaker, Lauren's areas of expertise run the gamut, including self-help, social entrepreneurship, the American experience, Irish spirituality, music, and storytelling. As president of Elfinworks Productions and founding CEO of the Elfinworks Foundation, she leverages a lifetime of tech experience from Silicon Valley startups to Fortune 500 level. Lauren is a trained climate reality leader, lifetime Carter Center Board of Counselors member, an external advisor for the Stanford Center on Poverty and Inequality, and former Peninsula Symphony first violin section member. She has a new book, which we are going to dive in today, called Taking the Stairs and Liking It, 7 Steps to an Amazing Life. She shares this wisdom in her books with her colleagues, and they have sparked projects worldwide in partnership with like-minded nonprofits and educational institutions, fostering student engagement for a more hopeful tomorrow. And her motto is simple: never underestimate your ripple. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
I was smiling inside as I was seeing you, your eyes light up, and your smile as I was reading the introduction to the show, because as I was getting to know you and your work, so much about what this show is about is the work you do, and so much more than the work you do. It's your purpose. It seems to be your purpose and your calling.
Well, and when I was perusing your website, there's so much resonance. You're working with people's potential, their possibility, their purpose, trying to help people reach new heights. It's just exactly in alignment. And so I've been really looking forward to talking to you.
You're a Renaissance woman. I mean, you really running the gamut. I mean, there are so many different interests, and beyond interests, I mean, these are you've applied and sought knowledge in so many areas of study, of work, of practice, and I'm wondering. I guess I'm wondering with. Were you always what we call multi-potential? This multi-potentiality, like so many different tracks and so many different interests at a time it's hard to choose.
I think we all are to some extent. And then at some point, we have to choose and go down a road. I think, and I tell students, we can have it all, but not all at once. And something about living to an age that I've lived to, I'm able to have done this and that and the other just by virtue of getting to this age, I think. So I think it's open to all of us.
I've learned you had 2 parents as psychologists. And it's always interesting what our kids say about growing up with a psychologist. And
Always
I'm wondering, yes, you had 2. And I imagine, given your life of service, that there is some some impact and experience, both at the DNA level, but also in the experiential level that contributed to the paths that you have taken.
I think our early life does help define us. And I think that these situations that we come to can be almost forks in the road, but it's also always our choice. So it's nature and nurture. My parents spent some time in India, brought us to India, and they had a school for some of the poorest of the poor. And that opened my eyes to some things, and that I think informed my vision for where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do.
How
Yeah.
old were you when you had those
I
experiences?
guess I was 9 or 10.
Wow, formative
Yeah,
years.
formative years.
Yeah. Um, did you immediately did that immediately change you, or was it something that as you got older, those experiences that were in you, um, sort of came to the surface and led you to pursue service yourself?
It's I think it's a bit of both. I was just talking to a student last week who had just been to India on a January term at their college, and they had just been saying, "Maybe this changed my life." Did it, And I was like, "Yeah, that can happen in college. It doesn't have to happen when you're 9." And for me, it did spark something. It sparked an interest in a lot of different things, including terrible diseases. I've always had an interest in epidemiology ever since I've seen some pretty harsh things in India.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that was one of the things that drew me to the Carter Center and their work with neglected disease. Uh, but I had to get a job. I had to work full time, but I was always volunteering a little bit. It was only later that I was able to dedicate more time to it. We can all use our work, though, as a calling. What I try to say to students is everything that we're doing every day is making a ripple.
Hmm.
There's a really fun little analogy about a guy who's in a boat and he's drilling a hole under his own seat. And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I'm only affecting myself," but he's not. He's going to drown us all. So whatever we do has a positive or a negative effect on everyone else around us.
Hmm. I We're going to talk about President Carter and your experiences
Mm.
and so much of the wisdom that he gave to you that you have since been given to the world and culminating in this book. Um, Before we go there, I listened to you on a recent podcast on Let's Talk Sound and Mind.
Oh, yes. What a great
It,
podcast.
Great podcast, and it allowed me to see experience the musician side of you. And, I have read and listened to your work in preparation for the content of this conversation related to your book. And I was so happy I stumbled upon that podcast because you talked about with the women that musicians, you said that's just who they are. Like that's who they are. And it's for so many that and have known for such a long time, like they can't not be, like they can't, it's like breathing, as you said. And I heard that in you, right? The way you described um some of your song lists and some of the different composers and the different music that moves you and takes you into different places, and the violin, which I
Yeah.
know you're onto electric bass, but um I was just really moved by that aspect of you that is part of the seemed like part of the fabric of who you are as well.
It is. It's definitely part of me. It's been something that I grew up with. Both my parents were musicians as well.
Hmm.
Um, and it's all through my family. But I don't think you have to have that in your family to feel yourself a musician. And I think you can start later. So I don't want to stop anybody from that possibility. I've tried to start people later on in life in music. To me, music is so integral that it's never turned off in my I always have a radio on in my head. There's never not music going on in my head. So it colors everything, and explain the world to myself in music, and music soothes me if I'm not feeling happy, and it
Mhm.
uplifts me if I'm needing a push. You know, I have playlists that help me, and I talk about that in the book too, for helping with your perseverance. Music can do that. It certainly has in my life.
Mhm. Um, Being in the first section in the symphony,
Yeah.
violinist, that is I mean, there is a love, there is a passion, and there is a lot of time
Mhm.
and a lot of commitment and dedication.
Yeah.
Going back to the idea of multipotentiality, in my work over the years with many multi-potential people of all ages, there's that point in time. You know, you said you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. There's that point in time for many when there is a fork in the road. You generally can't be a physician without going to medical school, and you generally can't be a performing career musician without committing all of your time to that. You know, and I'm wondering for you, was there that time that you had to make a really difficult decision, and was there loss, sadness with that?
I think there is always a trade-off, and I think there's always a sadness that goes along with the things that might have been but weren't. And yet, if you look back, in hindsight, what could you change if you are the person that you are now and you are okay with the person that you are now? How any number of roads that I would have gone down, who would I be? Right now, I am a person who is trying to instill hope in the next generation, and I am it is well with me right now.
Hmm.
So, those things that I would have liked to have done better, I have I've never done anything with malice in my heart, and yet I would have loved to have done things better. I would have loved there not to have been trade-offs,
Hmm.
and I think that's gonna be true of anyone who looks back.
Hmm.
And yet I think those who look back and haven't tried for their dreams are the ones who are going to look back
Hmm.
with wistfulness. I wish I would
Hmm.
have at least tried. I wish I would have at least tried. Even
Hmm.
if I fell down on my face, I wish I would have at
Right.
least tried. I've fallen down plenty, but I've
It
tried.
yeah, it really it just got the feels when you said that because it takes me to um the some of the main most profound things that are recorded when they pass away. And one of the main common statements is not regretting the things you did, but regretting the things that you didn't. Right, to your point about trying, going for it, going after it, um, in the face of fear and doubt and what will people think and what if I don't succeed or what if I don't reach the level. And that's human. I know that all
Yeah,
very well
yeah,
myself. And you're talking about and writing about and speaking about is like to have the amazing life is to go for it. Like
right.
go for it.
Yep. And to know who to listen to for advice and who is a naysayer who is going to hold you back. And there's a naysayer in your own head
Right.
that will hold you back as well.
Yes. The yeah buts. The yeah
Yeah.
buts.
Yeah, but
Um, Jen Pasteloff, who many people know who've been on the show a few times, she calls it the one in our head. She calls it the inner asshole.
oh, I like it.
And it's like
Yeah.
you have to know that that's there, like working on you, and like you don't have to listen to it, and you can talk
No.
back to it, right?
Right.
And
Put it in a
yeah,
box. Go play in another room. Leave me alone.
yes, yes,
I'm doing my best.
yeah,
Some days I wake up and I question everything, but you
mm-hmm,
have to just keep going because there'll be better days, and you just have to know it.
mm-hmm,
That's the perseverance that I talk about. That's why it's one whole
yes,
entire chapter.
It
because
is
perseverance is tough, especially in these times.
the perseverance, the resilience, and
Resilience. How do you build that up?
mhm. It is fascinating for a human experience, just even drawing on my own, how one day can feel so down, so low, so the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness.
Yeah.
And the next day, when the only thing that happens is you sleep, hopefully you sleep. We know that
Yeah.
that stuff can disrupt sleep,
Yeah.
which can contribute. But when one sleeps and resets and
Yeah.
there's a new day, it's remarkable how the energy, the neurochemistry, the physiology, it's like a new start. The
Yeah.
circumstances might be the same. The
Right.
circumstances might be the same. Um, but it's different if
But
we
you're
keep
different.
going.
You're
Yeah.
just slightly different. That's why I have a good bit about techniques for helping fall asleep. Because sleep is a superpower, I think,
Mhm.
and it's a little underrated in our society where everybody likes to they get rewarded for saying, "Oh, I'm overworking, and I don't get any sleep." And I think we need to reward a little differently.
Yes, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." We've
Yeah,
learned that's not good for health.
not healthy.
I think it was Ariana Huffington has been one of the main, proponents in going against that after living that way and then falling because of exhaustion and then recovering from a major injury and realizing, "Whoa, we're doing it all wrong," like, at
Yeah.
all levels, right? At the
Oh,
business level, the
I'm a
corporate.
recovering workaholic. Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm somewhat, I don't know, there's some comfort in that, hearing that because what you have accomplished generally requires so much time. So it's like that is again the trade-off, right? The
Well,
trade-off.
that's one of the trade-offs. Another is I damaged myself by doing the forceful learning of the violin the way I did, and I had to put it down. That's
Mm,
not a choice,
yeah.
and I would love to be continuing playing violin. It's not exactly working for my body anymore.
Mm. So that helped the transition to the electric bass?
That's what I had to pick up instead because it's
Wow.
easier on my body.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
bass is really a violin upside down. It's G D A E A E D G. It's just
Huh.
it's the same strings. It's just down a couple octaves.
Well, that's an example for okay, that's a beautiful example for us all with, loss, reality, and adaption.
Yeah. When you're a teenager, you think, "Oh my god, if I couldn't play, I'll just die." And then when you get older and you can't, you find another way forward.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's not so Sturm und Drang as it is when you were a teenager.
Well, and you're the way that you are expressing it, with your grace, it almost doesn't do the justice of the struggle and the resilience of having to have such a profound loss for whatever it is, right? A musician, an athlete, um, anyone who's getting older and can't perform, or mental functioning is not as acute for whatever that job.
Oh, yeah.
It is so hard, and yet resilience, perseverance, adaption. How do we embrace and accept reality
Right.
so we can still live with as much vitality as we can at that point in our life and have that meaning and purpose?
Yes. I think it comes down to our vision for ourselves beyond the thing that we define ourselves as. I'm not a violinist. I'm a human being trying to be a helpful human being towards other human beings, uplifting. That's my self-definition. As long as I pull my self-definition back from me violinist, I'm able to move forward with a definition that works for me.
Say that definition again, please.
Well, it's it's pretty like a definition of somebody as a violinist, and I'm a violinist.
Right.
I will
Right.
never not be a violinist, even though I've put it down. But moving forward, I'm I'm a cheerleader for hope, right?
There
I'm
you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You find yourself
Right.
something, and one of the suggestions I have made to people in figuring out what that is to imagine themselves in a rocking chair as old as Mrs. Carter was and thinking about the quality of the person they want to be, just the quality. I'm a kind person. I'm a generous hearted person. I'm a storytelling. I'm a funny person. And just take that one step towards being that every day from now on. And every little step moves you closer to that ultimate person, that human that you want to be. Because we're
Hmm.
human beings, we're not human doings. I was a human doer of violin. I'm a human being of hope, right?
I love that. A human being of hope, a cheerleader of hope.
Yeah,
And it speaks to, again, how we get naturally tied up in our identities, and how
yeah,
our identities are often just a fraction of the totality of who we are.
right.
But if it's I'm Dan, I'm a psychologist, or I'm a dad, or
Yeah,
whatever it is, that's all true. But there is
right.
so much more to
But
the humanness.
and what you will be remembered for is the kindness and the generosity in which you invited people onto your show and expressed new ways of helping people reach their potential and unlock their possibilities and figure out what those new heights are for them and you suss out what those skills are and those other things that you're trying to do every day in your capacity as a psychologist.
Mhm,
So those people are going to come up and say, he helped me in this way and that way, and what a cool. That's what's going to be first in the minds and hearts. What's in the hearts of people about you? I think
mhm.
that's important.
And I that's a really important message that you're sharing with all of us, which is there's a few parts to that message. And this relates back to what you were talking about when you had to make decisions, is looking ahead, and how we need to, yes, we need to be present based in our life, but we need to also project ahead, not in worry, not in fear, but project ahead of who we could possibly be, and that we don't know. We don't know. We can have a vision, but we do not know what is going to transpire in the different roads that we take ahead.
Right. At the end of the day, what people will remember you for is how you affected them, how you touched them, and how you touched their lives, not the title that you had, not that you had. I mean,
Mhm,
it will be on your obit, you were a PhD, this, that. But how they will remember you is how you affected them as a human being.
mhm. And with your work, with our work, it's helping people f see that, get in touch with that as the ultimate drive, the ultimate purpose, because as we all know, where we both are in the Bay Area, and there's so many areas like this in the country. There's so much pressure, emphasis on achievement, and on material things. And
Yeah.
ironically, we know that from the work in so many sectors of business and leadership, nonprofit, for profit, corporation, when we get people to focus on this, the results still actually happen. Those markers actually still happen if we reorient towards focus on the other, focus on the kind of people we want to show up as, focus on
Right.
empathy, compassion, and love. Um, the results still happen, but what's different is the shift on how we show up with our presence and our intention
Right.
versus these, as you say, these titles, these outcomes, these tangibles that we're programmed in so many ways to focus on as we grow up in the system.
Right. Collecting Girl Scout badges,
Yep,
which
I,
can
I had
be very
I had the Boy
addictive.
Scout ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very addictive.
yeah.
I was not immune. And And yet, when you are more of a humanitarian, humane boss, you have
Yes.
a better and longer lasting team. I have team members who've been with me for 15 years and longer.
Mm,
So I think it matters showing up as a person.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the most important things I think that matters. Let's move to this chance encounter that changed your life.
Okay.
Um, through a tremendous individual, um, and how, first of all, how a chance encounter that was supposed to be short, which ended up longer. But when I say longer, I think you said like 20 to 25 minutes instead of 6 or 7 minutes. And
Yeah.
the amount of wisdom
Yeah.
that was downloaded in that period of time is remarkable.
It really was. I I have no way of explaining it except thank God for it.
Yeah.
I was at a bit of a loss. Which all of us, I think, are. How do I not feel so big and how against this big, huge, broken, daunting world, how do I feel not so small and ineffectual? And I got a call. President Carter was going to be in the Bay Area. Would I like to attend? Sure. And would I like one of a very few small private audiences? Yes. I was going to ask him, and I did. And something about he's a nuclear submarine trained person. And something about that engineer type person in him saw the computer programmer type person in me, and he gave me a logical answer. And he took me seriously. He took my question seriously. He took the time to really tell me 7 things that he felt I should pay attention to. And he spent 20 minutes with me when it was supposed to be 4 or 5. Now, a private audience isn't private. It was him and me and the Secret Service and a photographer and all sorts.
Mhm.
But it was him and me. And I came home completely stunned and wrote the longest letter to all of my friends about how great he was and everything he told me and everything about the Carter Center. And then they I got invited to the Carter Center, and so did my team, and they opened up their history to us so that we wouldn't make the same mistakes they had. And for the next 20 years, I put it into practice. I studied it. I made it my own. I started using it for projects. We used it for projects all over the world. We taught it to students all over the world. And watching his life, because I eventually, as you know, became a member of a life member of the board of counselors of the Carter Center, watching his amazing life and watching how it had transformed my life, I realized this wasn't just wisdom for getting something done and not being small and ineffectual. This had changed the quality of my life. This was wisdom for life. And
Mhm.
that's what motivated this book. I thought, this can't stop with me. This has to be shared. And that's why I wrote it.
How long was it percolating?
Oh, a long time. I had written one about how to put it into practice in social entrepreneurship, but
Yes.
this is different. This is
Yes.
how you can have your own authentic, purpose-driven life that's joy-filled and really yours, you
Mhm.
know, and reach your own new heights, as it were. And how you take those stairs purposefully one by one as you're moving forward in life, getting
Y
there.
yes, taking the stairs and liking it, not
Right.
the escalator.
Right, there is no I mean, there are for some people, I suppose. There's easy ways, but if you want that true, authentic
Right,
sense of well-being, it takes effort, but
right,
there's a joy to it, and
yes,
that's what I
the
tried to
term that's
capture.
often used these days is bypassing. I hear it a lot in
Right,
in different,
yeah.
right? And it's this sort of where they talk about spiritual bypass or other bypass, and
Ah,
it starts to you start to hear it a lot, and, like so many things, it can become get things become can become cliche,
yeah,
and I want to uncliche that, right? For whatever, take that away, because this point that you're making is so critical about like leaning into the journey
Yeah.
purposefully, intentionally, step by step, the
Right.
climb, one step at a time,
Right.
because that is the real authentic growth and impact.
Right. Yes. And your impact over time. We've had projects that have had setbacks, but if you're on that journey and you're making that path, President Carter has said he's willing to risk failure if he feels what he's doing is important. And if you're on that journey and you're willing to risk failure if something that you feel is important, then you're still going to have joy in doing these things, even in spite of those setbacks. It's a
Hmm.
real antidote to the sort of depressing, monotonous kind of sense of impotence that we can feel if we turn on the news right now.
Hmm. Yeah, when I think back of some of my business failures or business slash project failures, um, the ones that didn't work, I mean, there was a lot of lessons and a lot of learning in there, but I could say for the majority of them, I was all in. Like I was
Right,
all in on making this. I believed in it. I believed it could
right.
happen.
Yeah,
The outcomes didn't match what I had imagined, but we know
right.
like that happens a lot. So that's different, right? So that that's the guy. Go for it, right?
And
Like
you
go for it.
grew, and you
Yeah.
grew, and you are the person that you are today because of those journeys,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
They were necessary.
Yes. Completely necessary. Um, and it's only in hindsight. I always bring in Wayne Dyer anytime I can, and his last memoir, I can see clearly now.
Uh,
Um, right? It's all in hindsight. Like the clarity comes in the hindsight. We are led places. We force ourselves into places, and then as we get older, we hopefully feel the difference between being led and being more in flow when there's a lot of green lights versus like pounding our way and muscling our way through. Which those of us who um, are good at achieving, which is a blessing and a curse. You learn like the forceful way, it takes its toll, and it doesn't feel like that other authentic path. But all of those are needed. All of those experiences are needed
right.
as we grow and become more self-aware.
Yes. We're all diamonds in the rough and we're all working on ourselves and each little chisel, right? The hard
Hmm.
ones and the ones that are easier.
The 7 steps,
Yes.
one that really, well, several spoke out, but I was just so like taken with you talking about it, writing about it, and of course President Carter's origin story of it is the non-duplication, right? Like he would not do something. He volunteered so much outside of work,
Right.
but
Yeah.
he wouldn't volunteer if he didn't have a specific skill that was needed. He wouldn't just be a body.
It wouldn't
And
just be
it's
a
this
body.
thing, and it's this whole thing about, right? Like find out what special attribute you bring and bring that.
Right. Don't just pile on where you're just one extra something. Go where you're really authentically needed, your authentic niche, right? That has saved me so much excess energy going everywhere because I can figure out where I'm really needed. Where are my skills really going to make a difference,
Hmm.
right? That's where I should be paying attention, not just piling on. And I really did listen to that. I think it's
What
important.
what have you learned about, expounding on this, about where your skills, work or volunteer, are received and accepted and desired versus not wanted? Because I know I'm thinking of situations where well, that's something we need to plow through, right? We need to like help. We need to shine a light. We need to bring what we have and what our desire and goal is to this situation versus, which this is happening a lot these days, which is no, like it's not wanted, it's not received. This is not going to be a helpful experience as hard as I want, as bad as I want it to be.
Right. Wow. That is a great question. We have tried some things where it's like build a better mousetrap and they'll come, but they didn't. Right. We thought that if we built this big web page that would, and also database underneath it that would help nonprofits do a better job with their IT security. It's one of the special skills that we have is IT security. That they would want to come and do that. And it wasn't something that they had the time or energy or interest in. So sometimes we have an enthusiasm that isn't shared. And we have to go, okay, that didn't work. And if we keep pushing at it, it's just going to be a waste of our efforts. We need to focus our efforts somewhere where we will get some results from that. So we just took most of it down, kept some of the things that were easy to keep up on YouTube and just dismantled it. So it has been a learning experience. Sometimes something I'm enthusiastic about
Hmm.
isn't shared. That's okay.
Yeah.
It it
Yes.
wastes it's a lot of cycles sometimes of a lot of team members and a lot of work,
Right.
but
Right.
you learn.
You learn, and that this resonates. What you just told resonates with the business failures that were in my mind as we were talking, which are it was the whole if you build it, they will come.
Oh
Like the
no,
the,
they
the
won't.
true belief, this true belief, not only believing in what we're building, but also the idea if you build it, they will come, which
Yeah.
it does happen sometimes, but it doesn't happen a lot of the time.
No. No. No, Derek Sievers, who did CD Baby, had some books about that, and he was talking about just build a little taste of it, see if anybody wants it. Then if people really want it, then go build more. I should
Yes.
have listened to that.
Yes. Yeah.
But where I've made mistakes is where I haven't listened to wise counsel,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I've thought I knew more than I did. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning. I listen better now.
I want to go back because we're talking about you mentioned PhD, and it made me think of you have a few, and I was really interested. I know more recently you completed your PhD in urban leadership. Your first doctorate was in a doctorate in ministry, and is that correct? Is that accurate?
Uh, my first one at BGU was in ministry, yes.
Okay, so there's more. Are there more?
Yeah, well, I did a long time ago. I studied business administration.
Oh, right.
Long
Okay.
ago, a little
Okay.
bit
Yes.
about telecommuting, but that's so old. It's
Okay.
dinosaur
Yes. No, I did.
era.
I
It
did
does
see
not
that. Okay.
matter.
Sorry, I didn't even bring that in. I was
Doesn't
yes.
matter.
Okay.
It's so old. It's beyond.
Okay. Well,
Right.
you did it.
But
It's
yes, I did
yes.
ministry and did study ministry, and in fact, I studied the wisdom that President Carter gave me, and I tried to see if it would sit with the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor, to see if it would be a way of sort of living out the Beatitudes. That's sort of what my dissertation was on. And
And what did you find?
I found out that has a pretty good way of matching up.
Yes.
So
I
I was
I was
happy.
I interested in from business, right? Your business, your tech, your analytical. Like this is again, I'm back to the Renaissance. Like you have so many aspects to you. What led the pivot, or maybe it was a concurrent,
It was a
experience.
concurrent. I had the chance to work on I had always been doing a little bit of volunteering here and there, Berkeley Reads or whatever, helping people learn how to read and volunteering with people who newer immigrants or whatever. And then I had the more time to be able to do it. And I was working on the new first website for the Center on Poverty and Inequality at Stanford. And David Grusky, the director, brought two huge monster bags of books on poverty and inequality and sociology, which I read them all.
Of course you did.
And it just brought up that question, that theodicy question. If God is so great and God is so good, then
Yeah.
what? That question that beginners bang their head against the wall, right? And that sent me sort of running towards theological
Mm,
questions. And so I started studying those. That's why. As I wanted answers. And it's quite a tough question.
mhm,
And I had a lot of people try to give me a lot of pat answers, and the best answer I got was from one of my Jesuit teachers over at um, one of the schools across the way in Berkeley. And this Jesuit said, "Does God always get what God wants?" And I thought,
mm.
that's a nice answer. Very Socratic method of you.
Very Socratic. I have not
And
heard that. Yeah.
yeah, but basically believe that it, you know, it stops hurting when you stop beating your head against the wall.
Mhm,
And that it's just, Merton says it's up to us to help co-create with God what it is that we're trying to, something positive, right? Uh, Thomas Merton being Seven Story Mountain and other author of some other nice things. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But just not wanting to go down too far the roads of theology, how could I not, having there be so much suffering in this world, wonder what was up with that
mhm,
and want to go deeper, since I'm a person who is academically minded. I wanted to go study that in an academic setting. So that's what I did. And then I did a chaplaincy at Stanford University. I did a summer chaplaincy, full-time summer chaplaincy, which really set my head turning, because if that's as much suffering as in one tiny hospital, and that's how many tiny hospitals are there around the Bay Area, and how many hospitals in California, and how many in all of our country and in all the world, the
mhm.
collective scream of suffering in our world is overwhelming, right? So how
Right,
can I help?
right.
And that's the question. How can I help? What's my
Mhm,
niche?
mhm,
Where is my authentic climb? Where do I fit within this puzzle? Because we're not God. We're not all called to fix this ourselves. We just each
mhm,
have a part.
mhm,
And when we find our part, it feels so good, because we can leave the rest of it, because that's not our part. Our part is one part. So
yes.
I don't know if
That
that makes any sense,
yes,
but
it does. That's an important message, because for so many of us feelers and empaths and, the caring souls that are out there, it does feel overwhelming. Um, and it's, "What do I do?" And
right.
then once you do, then it's, "Okay, but I need to do more, and it's not enough, and what else
Well,
do I do?"
the
And
work
I think
never
that's
ends. There is
right.
never an end of work. So you
No.
have to know where your authentic niche is. That's the non-duplication. That's the
Mhm,
where your vision and your special skills align with the world's deep needs.
mhm,
That's the sweet spot where your joy is. And when you find where your joy is found, because we're not called to burn ourselves out and have a horrible, hateful life where we're all wearing hair shirts. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be
mhm.
helping with joy, bringing something beautiful into this world, to my mind.
Helping with joy to bring something beautiful to this world, and that is enough,
I
right?
think
It's
so.
knowing that what everyone can do, it has to be enough, because we can't solve it all.
We cannot.
Collectively, we can do a lot, right? Collectively, as people, we can do a lot, but it's
Right.
how each person shows up and listens to their call, their pull, their authenticity, to bring their special, unique talent, power, gift to the world.
Yeah,
And then it ripples.
it does. It does, and other people see it and they come along too, because joy is contagious, and hope is contagious, and happiness is contagious, and they don't
Mhm,
want to feel the way a lot of people are feeling right now. They would like to find a path out of
mhm,
that.
mhm. I heard or read you talking about, um, pushing hope.
Pushing hope.
It was let me see where I wrote it down here because I like it was, you talk about the importance of hope a lot, and you use the phrasing of pushing out hope, the idea of pushing out hope to others, and that intrigued me because a lot of people want hope, but a lot of people also feel it's this a cloud. It's like this amorphous thing, and hope is so important for us in our darkest individual moments, our collective moments to well, I know we share a belief about this, which is like how to bring hope to the world, to help others persevere, to help
Right.
others have an inkling, a sliver that it can be different, it can be better, and that it's worth going on.
Exactly. Exactly. You're exactly right. We have to help people hold on to hope, because when people let go of hope and they act as if there's no hope, it's over. As long as there is, as long as people are holding on to hope and they act as if there is hope, then we can together build a more hopeful tomorrow. If they let go of that, that's when things can fall apart. So it's very important to hold on to and work towards a more hopeful tomorrow. It is. It's critical.
Mhm. And what's coming to me right now is just the idea and thinking about the individual and collective pain and suffering that you mentioned is that for people to really know that they matter, um,
Important.
so important. And it's as simple as well to show, to play a part in showing it, whether it's someone who is unhomed, whether it's someone you work with, whether it's someone in your family who you don't quite connect with.
Yeah.
Just looking at someone in the eyes and saying hello and making a connection shows people that they actually matter, that they're seen, and it's simple, but it's profound.
It's huge. It's huge. When I talk to students, I tell them, because there is an epidemic right now of suicidal ideation in colleges. I say, your words could save a life. Your kind word right now, you don't underestimate that. You don't know what kind of a day somebody's having or what your impact could be. Just that smile,
Mhm,
just that little interaction that you think nothing of, they might remember for a long, long time. I remember being lost on the way to a dinner and late, and it was an important one. It was like a job interview type dinner. And I was so lost and it was so dark and my GPS was nowhere because it was in Carmel somewhere. You know how GPS is.
mhm.
And I got out of my car and I was like this. And the lady got out of her car and she said, just follow me. And, you know, she doesn't know. I'm still thinking about her 4 years later.
Wow.
That one little act of kindness, she and her daughter might have been late getting to some practice, but she went out of her way to make sure I got to where I needed to go. And I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So those acts of kindness, they can change everything for someone.
Mhm.
And they do, they inspire hope, they inspire a sensation about humanity. humanity is also this. Humanity isn't just all that's on
Mhm.
TV. Humanity is also this. Humanity just like that happened to me. You know, you
That's
can
the
be
hope.
that.
That's
You
the
can be,
hope.
yeah.
Yeah, the hope
And
for
you can be that
humanity.
hope for somebody.
Right.
And it's not hard. So
Yeah.
I try to I try to do that. There's there was a while ago, I'm sure you remember it because you're local with me. A while ago, teenagers were killing themselves on the train tracks down there. That's when I wrote a little novel. I was like, how did I learn how to have resiliency? And I wrote a novel about a teenager and all these things happening to a teenager and how this young teenager coped with them one after another and came out of it with resilient hope. Because I thought back to my own teenage years, and what gave me resiliency was reading a lot of science fiction. Didn't feel like writing science fiction, so I wrote historical fiction.
Mm.
And so I think that if we see something and it moves us, we use whatever our skills are. I'm a storyteller.
Yes.
We tell a story.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, you see something and it moves you, and you step in some way, some small way.
Mhm. Well, Lauren, I think we just crescendoed. And that is a great a great thought to wind down with. And my last question to add on to that is what what is the message? What is the ultimate message you want everyone to hear?
The ultimate message I want everyone to hear is that the world will lie to you. The world will tell you that your presence doesn't matter, that you are ineffectual, that you can't make a difference. And I just want you to hear that that's a lie and that you're incredibly important, that you are all the difference, and that you should never underestimate the ripple that you can have. So hold on to hope.
Hold on to hope.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work that you're doing, for this time together, and for inspiring us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Lauren presents as such a grounded and wise person who offers and instills hope for us all to do what we can to make this world a better place by using our unique gifts, which will have a ripple effect beyond that we know. Here are 5 key takeaways for this conversation. Number 1, your presence matters more than you realize. The world may try to convince you otherwise, but every action and every kindness creates ripple effects. Number 2, hope is a practice, not a feeling. When we push hope outward, we keep ourselves and others moving towards something better. Number 3, know your authentic niche. Don't duplicate what others are doing. Step into where your unique gifts meet the world's deep needs. Number 4, perseverance and resilience are daily choices. One night of sleep, one moment of connection, one small act can shift your entire emotional landscape. And number 5, you are more than your roles. Your essence, who you are, not what you do, is what people remember and will ultimately create impact and your legacy. Well, everyone, how about that for inspiration? Please send this to anyone and everyone you think will benefit, to spread the word, to spread the hope, to help everyone think about where they can make their unique impact on the world, make their day better, make someone else's day better, and have a ripple effect on what is yet to come. Thank you for listening, for your 5-star reviews, for being a part of our amazing community. Remember, we have a brand new growth path quiz. Just go to www.drdanpeters.com/quiz, and you can find out in simple minutes or less what your strengths, your weaknesses, your challenges, your growth edges, and resources to help you along your growth journey. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Uplifting Folk by Awesome Music. Artwork by Kelly Dwyer. Follow us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, visit drdanpeters.com.